Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone today? I'm so delighted to see you all here. I have started my car camino again in my new van. It's been super great. I'm currently, you're probably not going to have figured out where I am for this first Sunday of Healing of the Nation, part 1, but I'm actually in Lawrence, Kansas. This isn't where I had first planned on being, but I had a couple of delays in getting out the door, but it turned out to be really great. I think you'll see a little bit later on. And I get to stay with my sister, Lori, who's also in attendance today with her cat, George. So she's at her house, though I'm not there. Anyways, I want to welcome you to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a church on the go, and I'm very delighted that you're here. I'm Reverend Nori Rost, in case you haven't figured that out yet. And if this is your first time visiting, if you would like to give a shout out in the chat, Patty Wiley, who's our welcome team member today, will be happy to greet you privately and just to see if you'd like to give us your email so that we can put you on our email list and things like that. But we're just delighted that you're here. We're delighted that everyone is here on this kind of, we're like on the precipice, right, of a calamity or celebration. We're not sure which, but we're glad that you're here with us today. I have a few announcements I want to share with you. First of all, a reminder that this week and this week only, there's no Tuesdays with Nori. I feel like we're all going to just be like, and not really wanting to chat with me, which is fine. I'm going to do a Wednesday with Nori, a little post-election vigil at 5:30 to 6:30. There's a Zoom link in the e-letter and on the website for that. And that's 5:30 Mountain Time. Just so that we can kind of touch base and be with one another. And then again on Thursday from 6 to 7:15 p.m. Mountain Time, there's going to be a whole Unitarian Universalist Association wide vigil. So there's that Zoom link is also in the e-letter or on our website. And I encourage you to attend one or both of those. If you have not yet voted and you would like to have your ballot picked up and taken to a secure official drop box, just let me know. We have I put out the call, we have 20 people who said, yes, I'll come get ballots for All Souls, but not a single person has yet asked for that. So we're just so active. But if you do would like to avail yourself of that, just email me and let me know. We'd be happy to have someone come pick up your ballot for you before 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Following the service, you'll be randomly assigned into your coffee breakout room. So we hope that you'll take this time to chat with others in your room. It's like a virtual fellowship hour after church. These are random, however, we do have a special room set up for choir and band members. So if you'd like to be a part of that room, just put that in the chat and hopefully I'll see it or somebody will let me know as I make those assignments. So let's just kind of scroll through and look at all the thumbnails and see who's here today and greet one another. It's so delightful to see the Finneys. Bonnie and Lou here are members from afar. And it's good to see you and all of you here, the Jeff and Amy and Bodie from up at Woodland Park. This is nice. You don't have to drive down. It's good to see you. Eric and Bonnie, Doc, Heidi, Sharon. Sharon's back in the saddle. So good to see everyone here. Thank you all for being here today. We gather every week, not because we must, but because we can. We come not in spite of our differences, but to flaunt our diversity. We gather from every socioeconomic stream, race, ethnicity, gender identity, age, ability, height, Zoom preference, and we find that we're actually stronger and more fabulous when we can bring all of who we are into this place and be seen and loved for all of who we are. And that is what makes this sacred space, and that is what makes this holy ground. So let's take a few minutes and breathe in the divinity of this hour brought here to you by you as I ring the bell.
Good morning, good morning. Today's chalice lighting is The Healing in Freedom by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Freedom has a rhythm to it, a longing our bodies know without words, of movement away from everything small and sacred, a waking up to possibility, healing backwards and forwards. Even now, we are beginning again, unafraid of this much mercy, tenderness, pleasure. We come to lean in, to learn the sound of liberation, like the sound of our names, receiving and releasing. We come to be free, for more than ourselves, to call love the greatest liberty, to sing of loyalty, courage, and kindness, to remember we are all doing the best we can. Despair hasn't gotten us yet, nor overwhelm, which is kind of a miracle. Surrounded as we are by this much beauty, come, let us worship together.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Green, Director of Religious Exploration, and I have our story for all ages for everyone. Today, we'll be reading Dr. Seuss's Every Voice Counts. Make yourself heard. Every voice counts. You can talk, or sing, or shout. Loud or soft, your voice counts. You are unique. Your voice is unique. And when you join your voice with others, big things can happen. Use your voice to make change. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. Be a teacher. Be a leader. Use your voice to share ideas. And your ears to listen to others. Maybe you'll learn something new. So open your mouth and your ears, because every voice counts. The end.
The healing of our present woundedness may lie in recognizing and reclaiming the capacity we all have to heal each other, the enormous power in the simplest of human relationships, the strength of a touch, the blessing of forgiveness, the grace of someone else taking you just as you are and finding in you an unsuspected goodness. Everyone alive has suffered. It is the wisdom gained from our wounds and from our own experiences of suffering that makes us able to heal. Becoming expert has turned out to be less important than remembering and trusting the wholeness in myself and everyone else. Expertise cures, but wounded people can best be healed by other wounded people. Only other wounded people can understand what is needed. For the healing of suffering is compassion, not expertise.
Well, as I said before, I am speaking to you this morning from Lawrence, Kansas, but not just any place in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm speaking to you from the Eldridge Hotel. This is not where I'd planned on speaking, as I said, but my departure was delayed for a couple days. As it turns out, though, it's actually a very fitting location for this Sunday as we speak about the healing of our nation, part 1. The history of Kansas in general, and Lawrence in particular, is actually one that reflects the current reality of our day. Between 1854 and 1861, Kansas was the site of virtually nonstop violent conflicts between abolitionists and pro-slavery groups. That period of time is actually known as Bleeding Kansas. According to Wikipedia, the great authority on all things, the conflict was characterized by years of electoral fraud, raids, assaults, and murders carried out in Kansas and neighboring Missouri by pro-slavery border ruffians and anti-slavery free staters. It's been called a tragic prelude to the Civil War, and has even been called a mini Civil War of its own. That's how severe it was. About 200 people were killed during that time. Now, Lawrence was founded in 1854 by anti-slavery settlers who were determined to have Kansas come into the Union as a free state. And this hotel, the Eldridge Hotel, was originally built in 1855, and its name was the Free State Hotel. It was a gathering place for anti-slavery groups. A year after its inception, it was burned to the ground during the sacking of Lawrence by pro-slavery forces led by the sheriff, Sam Jones. These men, along with Sam, rode into town with flags bearing pro-slavery and/or inflammatory inscriptions such as Southern rights and supremacy of the white race. While the hotel was burning, the printing offices of the Kansas Free State and the Herald of Freedom, both Free State newspapers, were trashed. Their libraries were thrown out the window, the presses were smashed, and the type was thrown in the river. And any remaining papers were either thrown in the blowing wind or used by Jones and his men to continue to fan the flames of the fire burning down the Free State Hotel. I actually have a picture. I'm going to see if I can. I'm not the best at screen sharing, but I'm going to try. Just bear with me here. Okay. This is the Eldridge as it is today. And one more time. This is the hotel, Free State Hotel, after it was burned to the ground in 1856, just a year after it was built by Colonel Shaler Eldridge. So he promptly rebuilt it, vowing, and he added another floor. So he vowed, every time this hotel is burned down, I'm going to rebuild it and I'm going to add another floor. And that's what he did. And the next time it was burned down again was in 1863 during the William Quantrill raid, in which 150 men and boys were killed by pro-slavery forces. Lawrence was a target for the Confederacy due to its staunch abolitionist stance, and despite the continuing assaults against them and in other parts of Kansas, the people stood firm. They understood that this was a fight for the soul, not just of the city or the territory of Kansas, but for the very nation itself. This is where John Brown, the famous abolitionist, made his stand. Here, in the heartland of the young nation, a line was drawn in the sand, a line for justice in the face of injustice, of truth in the face of voter fraud and the destruction of the free press. And here today, we again must draw a line in the sand. We are once again in a fight for the soul of our nation, fraud and destruction. Even here, where Lawrence, Kansas remains as a blue speck in a red state, there are people who ride through town, this time in big pickup trucks rather than on horses, but waving the same flags of hate and claims of white supremacy. In 2 days, we will witness the results of our own efforts, whether this will be a tragic prelude or a triumphant prevailing of justice and liberty. Regardless of the outcome of the election, we are called to remain firm in our resolve. Regardless of the outcome, which will likely not even be known by this time next Sunday, we are called to the bloodied battlefields of ideology and partisan polarization, to bandage the wounded, to tend to the dying, to comfort the broken. For those will not magically disappear with the closing of the polls on Tuesday. The damage will take years to undo. The scars will remain for decades, if not centuries. So in this moment, pre-election, we are called to the healing of our nation with the same fortitude and persistence of those early citizens of Lawrence and of Kansas, to lean into this healing backwards and forwards for more than ourselves, to call love the greatest liberty, to sing of loyalty, courage, and kindness, to remember we're all doing the best we can. As Kathleen read, the healing of our present woundedness may lie in recognizing and reclaiming the capacity we all have to heal each other. And we are called to do just that, to offer healing through the enormous power in the simplest of human relationships. Tempting as it may sound, this is not the time to research moving to Canada or Costa Rica. Not that they would have us anyways, thanks to the pandemic. This is the time to be steadfast in our commitment to the healing of this nation, to remain as committed as those early settlers of Kansas who did not flee the battle, but remained, and with each silent dawn after every fierce battle, bandaged the wounded, comforted the broken, and committed anew to remain in the struggle for the soul of this nation. And that is what we must do as well. We do this first, of course, by voting. If you have not yet voted, please make a plan to vote tomorrow, if possible, just in case something comes up on Tuesday. You never know. So don't put this off until the last moment. Your vote is needed now. And again, a reminder, if you find that you can't make it, we have plenty of volunteers who will come and get your ballot for you and drop it in an official ballot drop box. We can also commit to the healing of our nation by joining in with others in the coming week to be a source of comfort and strength and to receive comfort and strength. As I said, I will be having a Zoom call Wednesday at 5:30, on Thursday at 6. There's a larger UUA vigil. There is indeed strength and comfort in numbers. In the days and weeks to come, regardless of the election's outcome, you can reach out to nonprofit organizations you support, such as Planned Parenthood and Inside Out, the NAACP, others who serve overlooked communities, and you can ask how you can help, what you can do to be a part of the healing of the nation from their little spot in the world. And beyond organizations, you can reach out to someone you know in your neighborhood, on your contact list, who is a part of a marginalized group, and offer support to them. A couple of women who sometimes attend our congregation received a letter from a neighborhood voice just saying, I know that the appointment of this justice might be very hurtful to you and it might concern you. And I just want you to know, I think you're the best neighbors. And if I can help you, I'm here for you. And you have the best Halloween house. We can do things like that. That touched my heart. And I didn't even know the little guy. We can offer support to people, send them a card, phone them, Marco Polo them. And remember the bigger picture, the greater stakes of this election. What made the Free Staters of the city of Lawrence and the state of Kansas so resilient was that they never took their eyes off the goal of not only being a free state, but a free nation as well. And when Kansas entered the United States officially in 1861, they entered as a free state. There's a bigger picture ahead of us. We can't undo the last 4 years. But we can bring healing backwards and forwards in the coming years. We can determine to learn what we need to learn from this recent dark past and to let go of the rest. We can commit to never giving up or giving in, but to continue to show up and speak out and rise up and resist and persist until justice and liberty are finally the hallmarks of this nation for all people, rather than the ideal attained by just a chosen few. And as we do this side by side, hand in hand, voices raised in a mighty choir of freedom, there will be nothing that can hold us back. Long though the day may be, liberty will indeed reign. May it be so. Please join with me in our sermon response song, Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.
When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I am always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in this world. Fred, Mr. Rogers. We now have the opportunity to be helpers in healing our broken world as we give generously of our financial resources. Instructions for giving via text, online, or with a check will be on this next screen and in the chat.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Beautiful. And now, as we prepare to extinguish the chalice, our closing words are by L.R. Nost. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break, and all things can be mended, not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go. Love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. And now please join with me in singing our Extinguishing the Chalice song.
Now, as we leave this place, the chalice dims, but the fire still burns within our hearts. Beyond these doors, now, as we leave this place, memories of each and every face carry us into the world, and we will return, for now we know that something greater than any of us alone is part of us as we leave this place.
Thanks once again to all who helped put this service together. Mark, Ebony, Kathleen, Rick, Pam, Beth, Robert, AB, Joe, and Sharon. Thanks to all of you for being here with us today. We're going to, in just a few minutes, go into breakout rooms, but first we're going to enjoy the postlude that Sharon has chosen for us today. I love you guys. I hope to see you soon. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And the link to that YouTube video is in the chat. It's a fabulous, fabulous message for all of us this week in particular. I hope to see some of you on Wednesday and Thursday in the virtual visual support community groups. And next week, part 2 of Healing of the Nation. I don't think it will probably take a rocket scientist to figure out where I'll be speaking from then, but tune in to see. And now we're going to go into the breakout rooms. Love you guys.